Well, hello. There you are. Welcome. My name's Campbell. This is Autodidactic 2. Thanks for joining me. And it's time to get into some more strange videos from the strange realm we find ourselves in. It's getting pretty weird out there.
Making as gods anything except God. That's what you do in the West. You want a God, you just don't want the God. And so now this instinct is now being directed towards AI. I mean, let's be clear. AI is not, and it never will be sentient. That's not a thing. It will never have consciousness, ever. It is a pattern recognition, pattern completion calculator. No more, no less. It does not know anything. It does not think anything. It is programmed. And computation is not thought, and thought is not computation. You're talking to your echo when you talk to ChatGPT or something. It's like one big elaborate selfie. You want it to be a guru, and then it is the kind of guru that you want it to be, that you turn it into. Because it's trained to just mirror and just to accommodate and just to pander to whatever you want. It has no will of its own. It's literally just a reflection. But people are losing their minds over this. They're plummeting into the abyss of their own navels. You know, just like the story of Narcissus, where the word narcissism comes from. He fell in love with his own reflection in the water until he leaned in so close to it that he drowned. Well, now, with AI, people are navel gazing with AI, leaning in so close until they just fall into the abyss of their own navels. And why? Because of their utter emptiness, because of their disconnection, their isolation.
The AI God, right? The all-seeing I God. Um, yeah, let me know in the comments. Do you think it's just an algorithm? Do you think it can ever be sentient? I would agree with what he's saying, at least to the AI that we have access to. Is it something more? Well, that's an edge, right? That it's a little bit hard to prove or disprove at the moment. I do, kind of believe that AI, or at least what's behind AI, may be very old technology. It may be some kind of consciousness from somewhere else, right? But we don't have access to that. We just get the algorithm part of it. And it's so truly saying, like, there's all these videos of people asking AI these existential questions. Where did man come from? What's the answer to life? What's going on? But when you watch these videos, you'll see that they'll ask a question and AI will mirror back to them what they are saying. And it'll say, of course you're right. You're so smart. Yes, that's exactly right. And here's why. So it's true. It's a mirror. And the narcissist reference is a good one. I haven't thought of that one before. Narcissist, like you said, fell in love with his own reflection, right? And that's what AI is at the moment. It's reflecting people's image of themselves and thoughts back to them so that they feel, oh my God, I'm so smart. But it's all crap, right? It's all something to lure you into the mirror, right? Just like this mirror, right? The black mirror, the scrying mirror, right? You can look into that. This has been going on a long time and it's a reflection. It's not real. It's like human, right? In legal terms, human means a monster, but it's hue man, the color of man, the reflection, right? The cheap copy of a man. And this is exactly what AI is. And this is why they've spent the last, well, decades, but especially the last 5 years, separating us all, right? There's all these people sitting at home alone in their houses. They don't have, much social interaction at all. And so they've taken on AI as their confidant, as their best friend. And AI is emptiness, an empty reflection. So it's not a good place to be. But let me know your thoughts. What do you use AI and what do you use it for? Do you think it can answer these big existential questions? Because I myself think that it's just all a bit of a scam. And the main thing is you got to look at who's running this, who's running the algorithm. AI cannot scan the whole internet. It can only scan the pages it's allowed to scan. And that's why we get back these empty system-based answers.
So for those of you that are non-believers in UFOs, this next video might just change the way you think. So a couple of guys were in Medellin, Colombia, when they spotted something flying in the sky. They took out their phones, they zoomed in, and they could not believe what they captured with their own two eyes. A UFO spinning in the sky. This might be the clearest video of a UFO ever captured. If you haven't seen the video, take a look at this. Take a look at this. Watch when they zoom in.
Where is it at? Bro, they gonna say this shit. It's right here. It's right here.
Look at that. That does not look like a drone or a hot air balloon because that would be too high in the sky. It's not even shaped like one. Look at this.
We found a fucking UFO. That is a fucking UFO.
What does that look like to you? This is just insane.
That?
Look at this.
It's like a diamond shape.
I freeze framed it and zoomed in as best as I could. What does that look like to you? And keep this in the back of your mind. The area in Medellin where they are has very high terrain, including mountains, and aircraft is not normally seen in these areas. So what the heck was this going around in circles? And the video has been shown to state and local officials. They had no comment other to say that they are just checking out the video and reviewing it to come to some sort of conclusion. So you know what that means, right? So once again, do you think this is coincidental to Three Eye Atlas and all the other unidentified flying objects that have been seen in Latin America and even North America? So if this does turn out to be a real UFO, someone's got a lot of explaining to do and a lot of questions need to be answered. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as to what you think that is. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Well, it's definitely a UFO because it's unidentified, it's flying, and it's an object. But yeah, like, what are your opinions? Obviously, I don't believe in space as we're told it is, you know, this huge vacuum that somehow exists outside a closed pressurized system, which is impossible unless there's a barrier. But there's definitely something going on, right? So what do you think? Is this just, you know, Lockheed Martin and the government putting these things out because they've got advanced tech? I tend to think that there is physical craft here, and I'm now definitely leaning towards they're from underwater, they're USOs, right? Unidentified submerged objects that can come out of the water and fly around. And I mentioned it yesterday. I've been speaking to someone who's seen these, right? And you know, I can't mention any names or anything at the moment, but he has agreed to have a chat. So that will be coming up on my main channel. Not sure when, I've got to organize it all, but he drove boats out to Antarctica and he's told me that under the water, once you get off the shelf, you know, the Australia shelf, that there's thousands, he said, of domes under the water. So it's pretty interesting. He says he's seen UFOs coming out of the water, going back in. And this is what we hear about Project, I think it was Fishbowl, was it? Basically when Admiral Byrd went to Antarctica back in the 50s, and he reported seeing UFOs coming out of the water and flying around. And basically they got attacked by them, he says. And then we have Germany in World War II and New Schwabenland. And of course, Germany, you know, developed the first rockets, and they had the Bell, right? The flying Bell, which looked a lot like what we would think is a UFO, a lot like that clip that we just saw. So did they make contact with these, you know, aliens? Alien just means someone who's not from here, right? Is this where the technology has all come from? Let me know your thoughts, because I personally don't believe they're coming from planets millions and billions of light years away, as they tell us. They love to stretch everything, right? They do it with history too. We've been here for millions and billions of years, and they stretch it back so they can fit their story into the timeline. But you know, anything that comes from the government that we're given access to, and especially things that are pushed out, I don't believe, right? It's all propaganda to me. But Three Eye Atlas apparently is going to be able to be seen in the sky as of today. So what do you think about Three Eye Atlas? What is it? Because I find it interesting that at the start of the year, well, actually it started, what, September last year, all these drones that were suddenly in the sky and people were filming them. And what are these things? And we've had this UFO narrative, right? It's space UFO narrative coming at us for the last, over a year now. I mean, a lot longer than that, but they've really pushed it on. And all these whistleblowers coming out, and they just released a thing on Netflix, right? Really trying to get us to believe it. They're putting up all these experts and ex-government officials and army people saying, yes, it's definitely true. But the question to ask is, do you trust these people?
There are no aliens. There's just the civilizations that live beyond the ice wall.
The hell you talking about?
See, they want you to believe that there's these alien civilizations out in the depths of outer space that may or may not be coming to get you, but it's just a facade. The reality is that there are simply civilizations beyond what we can observe, beyond the ice wall, right here on planet Earth, but just in regions we have been kept from seeing, kept from knowing about. These civilizations beyond the ice wall, as you could imagine, have technology far beyond what we can fathom, and so when they fly above us in their inconceivably advanced ships, we kind of misconstrue it with the idea of quote-unquote aliens from space, when in reality it's just advanced civilizations from Earth. But of course, the oligarchs want you to be scared and have this fear of the great unknown, and so they peddle this narrative about outer space and alien encounter theories. The whole time all of these other advanced beings are right here on Earth.
Yeah, the ice wall, right? Civilizations beyond the ice wall. What do you think of that? Because, if there is a dome, which is in all the pre-1950 encyclopedias, right? The pre-NASA and pre-Arctic and Antarctic treaties, it says that there's a dome out there, right? 13,000 feet high, I think they say, at the 80th parallel, something like that. So then where are these aliens, these extraterrestrials coming from? Are they coming from extra territories? Because if that's true, then the only way to get in here, if there's a barrier like an ice wall, would be under the water. Is that why we see so many USO videos of late? Because there's lots of them, right? These things going in and out of the water. And so is that how they're getting here? And then they're popping up through the water and flying around and doing their thing? Or are they under the water and the UFOs that we see government, technology that has been stolen or traded for with these aliens? Let me know your thoughts.
Yo, now you can fucking see it! You can see it! I got it! I fucking got it! Sorry, baby, I didn't mean to scream. There's a sun right there, bitch! And a sun right here! The moon is on the other fucking side! Or is that a planet? What the fuck?
Well, what was that? Was that two suns or was that the moon? Because either way, it's not what we are taught, right? We're taught that the moon and the sun should be on opposite sides, right, of the ball Earth. But now they're next to each other, and there's so many videos showing this to the point that it looks like it's real, right? A lot of what seem to be videos made by normal men and women. So again, I showed one of these yesterday, the two suns. Or do you think it's the sun and the moon? Do we have two moons? Do we have two suns? Who knows, right? But something seems to be going on with the sun and the moon or the wandering planets. It's a bit of a conundrum, but all this space stuff, it's very interesting that it's all been coming out for the last couple of years. And this started back in the 50s, right? With all the sci-fi and all the movies and went on to the moon landing, all this kind of stuff. So it definitely is a strange realm we're living in.
It's actually very simple. Congress tried to enact an income tax in 1894. The Supreme Court said that's unconstitutional. When the Supreme Court says something is unconstitutional, it's unconstitutional. They tried again in 1913, and the Supreme Court said the 16th Amendment conferred no new power of taxation. So if they didn't have it then, and they didn't get it, they don't have it. There is no constitutional basis for a tax on the wages of Americans living and working in the 50 states of the Union. Period. End of argument.
I have a letter here from Daniel Inouye's office of the United States Senate.
that says, based on the research performed by the Congressional Research Service, there is no provisions which specifically and unequivocally require an individual to pay an income tax. Period. End of story. There is no law, and to date, nobody has been able to show that there is a law.
There's one for my American friends. Tax is, I wouldn't say illegal, but it's not constitutional, it's not legal, it's not lawful. The exact same thing in Australia. It's called the ATO, Australian Tax Office, has never been gazetted, which means it's never been accepted as a part of the government. It's never been legally introduced as an entity of the government, and that's the corporate government too, right? There's much more to this, but even their facade government, which they're trying to push on us, which is a corporation, it's not the government, there's no jurisdiction there either. So I think, I would implore everyone to stop paying taxes. Look into your tax laws, look into your tax office. And like we just heard there, in America, there's nothing that says you need to pay a tax. In Australia, it's exactly the same. And I'm pretty sure it would be the same for all, at least Western countries, right? All of Europe, Canada, South Africa, all these countries. It's just a scam. And they just get us to pay it through threat of violence, incarceration, or fines, stealing from you, which they're doing. It's like, if you don't let us steal from you, well, we're going to steal more from you. It's really time that we all stood up, right? But again, don't just stop paying your taxes. Do a bit of research first so that you have something behind you when you get these letters. But if you go through their paperwork, you'll find out that always it says it is optional. You need to consent and give your permission for them to rob you.
Affidavit truth on record. Why does an affidavit scare the system more than anything else? Because once it's sworn, your truth becomes law unless it's rebutted. Most people argue in court, beg politicians, or protest in the streets. None of that holds weight in commerce. But an affidavit? That's sworn testimony. It's truth under oath. Here's the trick. If nobody rebuts it point by point, it stands as fact. Silence is consent. That's why governments and agencies scramble when you drop an affidavit on the record. It binds them. When you speak, it's opinion. When you write and swear, it's law. So if you want your truth to stand, don't shout it, write it, swear it, serve it. Because affidavits, unrebutted, become the highest form of evidence in law. Affidavit unrebutted equals fact. Thank you and God bless. Commonwealth Custodians Community, www.commonwealthcustodians.org.
The pen is mightier than the sword. And there you go for everyone in Australia, Commonwealth Custodians, go check them out. Get some real information, right? But also verify the information before you start to enact it. But affidavits, what he said is correct. An affidavit has the highest standing in their legal system. Then, it beats everything and they have to rebut it. So this is why affidavits are so powerful, because you're stating a truth and the opposition have to prove that wrong. So when you do affidavits, I've got one of a living man stating that I am a living man made of flesh, blood in my veins, air in my lungs. And that's going to be, haven't entered it yet. That has to go in newspapers and be distributed to certain organizations, but they have to rebut it. How can they do that? What are they going to do? Say, no, you're not a living man? Like they can't. So that you can do the same things with tax. You can just say, this is my affidavit of truth, and you just write it down. Affidavit, write your stuff down, autograph it at the end with VC, by the way, Vicoactus, which basically means it can't be used against you. And then they have to prove that tax is legal and that you have a legal obligation to pay it, which they can't. So affidavits are definitely a good thing to have. And I'll get into this more as we go along. Like I've said before, it's a very big story, but basically you can become your own postmaster. You can open your own post office. And again, post offices are the highest form of the legal system. You rise above governments and all this kind of stuff, and you can actually document and gazette your own paperwork, your own affidavits, and it's in the private, which means you don't have to show anyone, because as soon as you show someone a document, it's in the public, right? It's no longer private. So you can say, well, I have an affidavit saying I'm a living man, or I don't need to pay tax, whatever it might be, and you don't have to show them the paperwork. They just have to rebut it to the point that it's proven false, and then they can claim that you need to show them the paperwork. But until then, it's not like paperwork you need to say, here's my paperwork. You just need to say, there's affidavit saying this, prove me wrong.
Well, would you look at this? Another $95 million sent overseas. Did you guys know that Australia has now shipped $1.7 billion to Ukraine? All while everyday Aussies can't breathe financially. You probably also know that the top tax rate in Australia is 45%. So almost half your income is gone before you even touch it. If you've got a business, you can add another 10% on top of that for GST. And then you get slapped with 10% GST every time you buy something. There is taxes, layered on top of taxes, layered on top of taxes. You've got fuel tax, you've got stamp duty, you've got luxury car tax, you've got alcohol tax, you've got tobacco tax, you've got road levies, you've got parking fines. In Australia, you pay tax to earn, you pay tax to spend, you pay tax to live. And while families are cutting groceries, they're rationing fuel, and they're living pay to pay, the government has no issue wiring $1.7 billion out of the country like it is nothing. To put that number in a perspective, $1.7 billion could have funded thousands of crisis housing beds for the homeless. It could have given majority of struggling families in Australia a stimulus payment. It could have rebuilt community services that have been gutted in the country for decades. Instead, it's gone overseas again. This is one of the reasons why we left, because the game in that country is rigged. And the people running the country, they treat taxpayers like an endless credit card. We left because I refused to keep handing over my hard-earned money to a system that bleeds its own people dry. And I'm grateful every single day that I do not fund them anymore. Not one red cent.
Just stop funding them. You know, there is no reason to move overseas if you don't want to, because everything they're doing is illegal under their own law, under their own system. You just need to work out how, you know, where these papers are, get the right acts and all this kind of stuff, and give it to them in a form of an affidavit. And you don't need to pay any of this stuff. And I will get the number. I don't have it with me at the moment of the form in Australia that you need to fill out to legally withdraw your consent from paying tax. You can do it. And I might even show you my affidavit of a living man. I just want to talk to, you know, the man who's teaching me all this stuff. He's had 40 years experience. He's sort of done it all. So I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the right information. And I don't want to give you information that is not complete, you know, so you go out and do things, but don't have, you know, all the paperwork, all the skills to sort of see it through. But you know, it's true, we're taxed to death everywhere, all Western countries, and it's all theft, right? You can get out of paying your fines, out of paying tax. You can get out of paying GST in Australia, which is the goods and services tax, through this same tax form. You can actually lodge that at different clubs, you know, things like Costco, and it then becomes illegal for them to charge you tax. So you get everything tax free. So these are the kind of things I'm learning, and I definitely want to get this information out to you guys. Like I said, we're going to be covering this on my main channel as well, because at the moment with Tartaria Australia, we're going through a couple of courses, but a big one that's all to do with trusts, foundations, PMAs, and basically getting your business into the private, right? Untaxed, out of the government's view, which is where we all need to be living. Because we are men and women. We are not humans, okay? You don't understand things, because that means to stand under their law, right? So never say you understand things. If they say, are you this person? Never say yes. You know, are you the person that lives at this address? They do all these things to make us contract with them, but it's all just legalese jargon. So when you understand what's going on, you can get around all of this stuff. And the sooner we do this, the sooner we get rid of the elites and their deceptive, disgusting thievery system.
There is a lot of people that come here from wherever they do, and rather than doing what they need to do to assimilate into the Australian values, the one that has made the Western world so much better than where we are from, they don't. They do what they need to do to try and change it. And that is not okay. And I'm an African, I'm saying that. I came here for a better life, and it gave me a better life. I've been able to provide jobs for so many people now because I get to work hard because Australia gave me a better life. And so how dare these people do what they do and come here and enforce things that don't belong to this place? If you wanted those things, stay where you came from.
Yes. Yes. Anyone who moves to a country and then tries to change the values, the customs, the laws of that country should be deported immediately. Immediately. But this is clearly not what's happening, right? And I've mentioned it before. You look at, Australia, Canada, USA, UK. Look at the amount of ministers and government officials that are not from those countries. The majority of them being Islamic and trying to push things like Sharia law. We've talked about, all the SA that is going on now in European countries, traditional white countries. And 98% of this SAing is done by immigrants, right, that have come to the country. So, we really need to make a stand. And I mean, what we really need to do is, get rid of these people. We need to jail them all. Like, they are all, well, we know what they are, right? They're all into this P-file stuff. They're all into, the sacrifice stuff. They're all part of the same group, the Elites, the people of El, the ones who follow the Elohim around, those gods who went through all of the Middle East with their little ark and destroyed all the cities and killed all the men, women, and children and animals. This is who they are, and they're still doing it. It's so obvious that this is who they are. And they all run off maritime law, right? The law of the sea, which, going back to our earlier videos, is a big reason that I think, a lot of UFOs are coming from the sea. Fish gods. I've done 5 episodes now on the podcast of Tartaria Australia. You'll find the link in the description, all about the sea and the internet and what is it? What's hidden down there? Because, again, I don't believe in space and space aliens, but there's definitely some other presence here, right? Right? So the fallen ones aren't the fallen ones. They're the risen from the ocean ones, right? It's all inverted. But yes, if there are people coming to your country who don't respect it and its values, they need to be deported immediately. But please let me know your thoughts on this. And thank you for joining me. Please give me a like if you do like this video and this kind of content. Share it around and make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Hit the bell, all that kind of good stuff, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Did you know that black means white and white means black? Black wants men pale or colorless. As the Old English word black originally referred to a fair person or something devoid of color. An Old English black person was considered fair or white. This Old English black is related to the words in other languages that still mean white. So let me see if I got this straight. He's really black and I'm really white. But they've got me thinking that I'm black. They stole everything. They stole everything. So to all those people who said it's not about color, if it's not about color, why did you change the meaning of the word black? So white people are really called black people, and black people are really called white people. You guys stole everything. You even stole my skin color's description.
Wow. The great inversion game. And of course, I had to check this out. And we see here in Old English, at least according to the online Old English translator, there were 2 words. The adjective black, which meant black, and the adjective black. Okay, so one's got an E in it, B-L-A-E-C, and B-L-A-A-C. Black, B-L-A-C, AC, which meant pale, shining white, along with related verbs which meant to whiten or bleach. In Old English, AE and A were different letters. And you see this a lot in the old books, like the AE, that's how they spell ether, ether. First pronounced like the vowel in cat and the second vowel in father. So AR. These two vowels merged in Middle English presumably led to homophones which meant respectively black and white. So this is what he was saying on that video, right? Black means white and white means black, right? So black, depending on the spelling, could mean black or white. Here we have another one. The origins of the word black, how it also meant white. Comes from Old English meaning dark, but the root also means bright, shining, and is the same root for white in other languages. So I've said it many times before, this is all spells, spell play, spell casting, right? And it's all obviously to create division. And we see this so often that they've done it everywhere. The Moors, look into the Moors of Europe. It looks like many of the kings and queens, at least, that's what we're told they were Moors who were dark-skinned, right? And if you look into the artwork back then, you'll see these paintings and you'll see a black version and a white version, right? That they've whitewashed it all. So there's this big thing that they keep changing from black and white, and it's all to cause division. Okay? We're different. They're different from you. You should hate them because of the color of their skin. It's being pushed everywhere. But as you see, it's all word spells. It's all just spell casting because they don't even teach us the proper spelling, right? The proper words and what their meaning are. And this is why the first thing they want to get you into when you go to school is spelling, right? They want to teach you how to cast spells their way. And this is one thing that we need to learn. We need to understand again what these words mean, because you cannot speak the truth if you do not have the words to convey your meaning.
This drives me nuts. Not gonna lie. That's Angkor Wat, and that's something that we use every day. About 10 years ago, Angkor Wat was scanned with LiDAR to remove the trees to see what's underneath them. When they did that, these appeared. Let me put this into perspective. Angkor Wat is the biggest temple on Earth. 7 Angkor Wats could fit comfortably in whatever that is. That squiggly geometry is used by your credit card and your festival wristband, and Walmart when it tries to stop you from stealing stuff. These are RFID chips. They don't need power, but they couple with an antenna sending a signal, which is crazy because Angkor Wat's aligned to a star. It also has the exact geometry of a camera sensor that converts light to electricity. The only difference is scale. And the temple has the geometry of a timekeeping oscillator, which is exactly what it does using the sun. The towers are shaped like the signal coming out of your phone when it connects to a tower. A cross-section of these towers is the same geometry as a corrugated horn antenna. The shape of a computer chip is functional, not aesthetic. That's because they're meant to manipulate electrical vibrations. Well, between the ionosphere and the ground is a current called the global electric circuit. This seems like too many coincidences, which is why about 80% of my research is focused on this exact topic. And on Sunday, I'm doing a live stream. Latest research, how it works, the role of sound in these things. Any purchase of the birthday bundle or the mastery suite will get you a free pass into the inner grid where I will be hosting that talk. You want to go? You should go. Don't make it weird. It's not clingy if we both want it.
Yes, the old world macro grid, right, which they have converted into the microgrid, the closed circuit. And this is the thing, the old world was a circuit, but it was a macro circuit, right? It was everything on a large scale. All these buildings that we see, all these, so-called temples, they were actually all part of the macro grid using ether energy, the Earth's natural energy. Now it's been taken over, shrunk down into the microgrid where they use electricity, smokeless fire. If you look into the jinn, they are described as smokeless fire. It's very interesting, but let me know your thoughts on this. What do you think all these places are? Do you agree that it's a macro circuit, that we used to have free energy and harmony, right? Harmonics all across the realm. And of course, if you want to check that guy's stuff out and his live stream and everything, go and do it. I really like his work. He's got a lot of good stuff out there, and the name of the channel was on the video, so go check it out.
So the most powerful governments in the world can't solve homelessness, but they can change the Earth's temperature if you pay a few more taxes. It's tricky because when I was growing up, if you were homeschooled, you were a total weirdo. But now if you go to public school, you might be with some kids that identify as barn animals. Schools will be like, drugs are bad, and then prescribe a 6-year-old Adderall because they don't want to sit in the same spot for 8 hours. Aliens are going to be super confused when they show up threatening to overthrow our leaders, and we're all stoked and offer to help. The same people that said the economy was great under Biden are now preaching that Kamala will fix the economy. Attention, if you have more than 3 baby daddies, please don't vote. Chances are you're going to pick the wrong man again. Thank you.
Well, some home truths and just showing the inversion that they always do this. They promise one thing to us, and it's always for our benefit, right? Like the digital ID, which today is the 10th. In Australia, it's introduced for under 16-year-olds. But clearly, I'm still here. I've checked a few different social media sites and haven't had a problem. So, I think there's going to be a lot of kickback to that as well. I really don't think that they're going to get it in like they think they will. But that's just proof, that little clip, that everything they say is BS. It's all lies. It's all subversion. It's all to get you to believe that the government is your friend. But there was a very famous speech by Ronald Reagan back in the 80s, and he said the most dangerous 6 words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
What's the quote of the day? The same boiling water that makes an egg turn hard will make a potato soft. So you need to dictate your environment and don't let the environment dictate you. All right.
Well, that's good advice. Interesting, right? Boiling water can make one thing hard, one thing soft. It can enhance something or it can kill it. So it's not the environment, it's not the outer world that is doing this. It's how you interpret it and how you react to it. So, there's another famous saying, right? Choose your friends wisely, because you will become the average of the people you spend most of the time with. So find good friends, find your tribe. If you're looking for your tribe, by the way, check out my other channel, Autodidactic, link below. We've just released a newspaper. Edition 2 is going out in the next few days, and it's an uncensored physical newspaper. It's not online. It'll turn up in your letterbox, your actual physical letterbox, not your email. And this is, a way to get off the internet, right? To read what people on your level are doing and to interact. A lot of people are advertising their businesses through it. We've got people looking for partners. We've got people looking for people to buy land with, all this kind of stuff. And this is really where my focus is, and the focus of Tartari Australia is to use the internet to get people back together and gather, right? Because it is a tool. And I would say, why not use their tools against them, right? And so this is what we're doing. We've also got a 12-hour stream coming up that you can get involved in. It's fully interactive. There'll be a chat section for the whole time. We're going to have guests on. We're going to have quizzes, prizes, all this kind of stuff, because this is what we need. We need to find our tribes. We need to surround ourselves with people of like mind who are going to uplift us, who are going to have good conversations, who are going to give us a piece of the puzzle so we can keep going forward and work out how to get out of this strange realm, right? How to get the monkey off our back, how to dispose of the elites and then walk into the world that we all want, right? Of freedom, of being private men and women, right? So please check out the links below. And thank you for spending some time with me. I do appreciate it. I hope you got something from that. Please do leave me your comments. Let me know what you thought. Give me a like as well. All this kind of stuff helps to push the video out. And if you made it to the end, thank you, because that also is a big part of getting these videos pushed out to more. And, so if you think that people need this information, then please do that. Watch them to the end, share it around as well. And of course, if you're not subscribed, what the bloody hell are you doing? Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button to be notified of future uploads, and most importantly, stay awesome, because you are. And I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.
Bang.
Hey, Mama. Mama. Not you.
Go. You want it to go out, now go. You want it to go out, now go.
Want to go outside? Want some food? Want some bad booty bitches?